Today on the CTV News at 5.
As you can well understand, this is a very tragic event.
A 26-year-old man is dead in a police-related shooting in Lethbridge. Plus, an Olympic send-off for Lethbridge athletes headed to the 2012 London Games. And why one couple is making their way across Canada in a tractor.
CTV News with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. A 26-year-old man is dead after he was shot by police who were investigating a weapons complaint last night in West Lethbridge. Two police officers were responding to a disturbance at a home on Columbia Bay when they were confronted by a man and discharged their firearms. A knife was recovered at the scene. Police identified the man as a member of the Bhutanese community who had recently immigrated to Canada. The police officers were not injured. Terry Vogt reports.
The shooting happened inside a home in West Lethbridge. Two police officers were responding to a disturbance involving a weapon just after 11 p.m. Sunday. During the incident, both officers discharged their firearms, striking and killing a 26-year-old man.
No, this is a worst-case scenario for everybody. It's probably an officer's worst nightmare.
Police aren't saying what happened in the moments leading up to the shooting. They do say a knife was recovered at the scene and that the Alberta Serious Incident Response Team is now investigating.
We are confident in our members who have received reasonable officer response training. They've received an awful lot of training around the use of force and how they conduct themselves in investigations.
Well, I can say there's many victims in this particular tragic incident.
The Lethbridge Police Association says the officers have been placed on administrative leave pending further investigation. Police have identified the 26-year-old man as a member of the Bhutanese community who recently immigrated to Canada. His family is receiving assistance from Victim Services, the Red Cross, and Lethbridge Family Services.
We're absolutely, of course, rocked to the foundation by an event like this. It's extremely tragic. We will, of course, be providing immediate support to our own immigrant services staff should they need any kind of critical incident debrief or counseling support. We will be sort of ramping up to assist the Bhutanese community as well to whatever extent is appropriate. Whatever they need from us, we'll provide. And, of course, our thoughts are with the constables involved because this cannot be easy for them either.
It's kind of scary. It's a quiet neighborhood, it's in a cul-de-sac, and then it's got a kids' park right beside it.
Area residents say it's a good neighborhood. Investigators are now working to find out why this tragedy happened and whether the officers acted lawfully and were justified in using their firearms. That investigation could take several months to complete. Terry Vogt, CTV News, Lethbridge.
The city's last officer-involved shooting was 11 years ago, back in 2001. An arrest warrant has been issued for a Lethbridge man. Regional police have issued a warrant for 36-year-old Alexander George Wawia. He is wanted for failing to comply with the conditions of his recognizance. The breach is in relation to drug trafficking charges. If you've seen Wawia, please contact police. And regional police apprehended a trio of individuals this afternoon believed to be responsible for a car theft. 3 women were handcuffed and taken away in police cruisers at the Gas King location on 5th Avenue North. Police were looking for 27-year-old Cheyenne Williams, who faces more charges in addition to outstanding warrants. The vehicle was last seen near Scenic and Mary McGrath Drive. We'll provide more information on this arrest as it becomes available. A Vulcan man accused of sex crimes and attempted abduction made a brief court appearance this morning. 19-year-old A.J. Gregory is charged with 4 counts of sexual assault, sexual interference, and sexual touching. The charges stem from alleged sexual relations with 2 girls under the age of 16. Now, Gregory is also charged with attempted kidnapping. Today, his lawyer told the courts that she has thousands of pages of evidence that was seized from electronic devices to go through, and she's asked that the case be set over until August the 13th. A single vehicle rollover caused some major delays for drivers headed westbound on Whoop-Up Drive this afternoon. This Saturn car was traveling westbound when police say it swerved into the guardrail after being cut off, causing the vehicle to flip onto its roof and then skid a short distance. The driver of the car was taken to hospital, but luckily only suffered a few bumps and bruises. No charges are pending at this point. And a southern Alberta highway was closed for several hours today when an SUV pulling a travel trailer went out of control and it crashed. It happened at the south end of the Nolan Bridge, about 15 kilometers north of Coaldale. The driver of a Jeep Grand Cherokee lost control, hit a guardrail, tipping both the truck and the trailer. Coaldale Fire and EMS responded to the crash along with members of the Picture Butte Volunteer Fire Department. There were 5 people inside the SUV, no serious injuries. 3 children were treated at the scene for cuts and bruises and taken to hospital to be checked over. So our Dory Rossiter has earned a much-deserved holiday, and we have the lovely and talented David Spence filling in.
Thank you. What an introduction. I've never been called lovely, nor have I ever been called talented. That's first for everything. We've got some pretty interesting weather developing in southern Alberta. Some showers coming down from the north, some thunder showers coming up from the south. One's going this way, one's going this way. Where are they going to meet? We'll tell you a little later on, Jackie.
We will stay tuned for that. Keep us in suspense, Mr. David Spence. Well, some 500 campers are finally able to leave an RV park after being stranded by a mudslide yesterday afternoon in southeastern BC. The slide barreled down a creek, destroying access to the park from the highway and Fairmont Resort nearby. Some families were split up on both sides of the slide. Luckily, no one was hurt. This afternoon, crews built a footbridge to get campers out, but it will take days and maybe even weeks to build a road strong enough to move vehicles out of the RV park near Fairmont Hot Springs. And the BC coroner is now in charge at the scene of last week's deadly landslide in Johnson's Landing, BC. An assessment is underway to determine if crews can continue searching for a German tourist and 2 sisters presumed killed in the slide. It's believed that 17-year-old Rachel Weber and 22-year-old Diana Weber were in the kitchen of their father's cottage when the slide wiped out the building. Their dad's body was recovered yesterday near the foundation of the home. Weekend rain and unstable ground have complicated the recovery effort. Still, searchers are optimistic that they will find the remaining 3 victims. We are now just 11 days away from the opening ceremonies of the 2012 Olympic Summer Games in London. And today, an official send-off for our Olympic athletes with Lethbridge connections. Daryl Rummold reports.
It was their moment in the local spotlight before their time to shine on the world stage. An Olympic send-off for Lethbridge-based athletes headed to London in mere days. Jim and Heather Stacey are both Canadian record holders in the hammer throw. It's Jim's second trip. For him, anything less than a medal this time around is a disappointment.
If I win a medal, it would be a dream come true. It would be 13 years of hard work, of sacrifice put into that little disc.
I'm really hoping to throw as best as I can and hopefully make it to the finals.
Their coach Larry Stanke is going too, taking on the task of throwing events coach for all of Canada's Olympic athletes.
It's a great honor, of course, and I think it speaks volumes of where things are going in Lethbridge. There's been a lot of support in the last number of years.
Liz Gleadle is originally from Vancouver, but has adopted Lethbridge as her training oasis, and the city has adopted her. She becomes the first Canadian woman to compete in the javelin since Seoul in 1988, the year she was born.
It's going to be pretty overwhelming, but I'm going to try and control myself, control the excitement, perform, and then I can really enjoy the full experience.
Zach McAllister's Olympic splash will start when the Olympics end and the Paralympics begin. He's the Canadian record holder in the 400-meter freestyle.
Like a year ago, I wouldn't see happening, but just being continually going through different loops, ups and downs, and now that I'm on the team, it's a lot to expect.
Own the Podium has set the bar high for Canada's athletes, hoping for a 12th place finish in medal count in London this year. But no higher standard than the athletes have set for themselves, hoping to improve upon a 19th place finish in 2008 when they brought home just 18 medals from Beijing. Daryl Rummold, CTV News, Lethbridge.
And we here at CTV will have the full coverage when the Olympics kick off on July the 27th. Alberta's Information and Privacy Commissioner is investigating last week's fire at the Shaw Building in Calgary that knocked out communication services across the province. Last Wednesday's blaze downed computer systems holding Albertans' personal, health, and financial information. Some surgeries even had to be rescheduled. Most services are back up and running, except for here, land title and motor vehicle services. Still no word when they'll be fully restored or actually what caused the fire. It's only the beginning of summer holidays for most students, but some Lethbridge agencies already have back-to-school shopping in mind. 3 community agencies are collecting school supplies for students of low-income families. The Interfaith and Lethbridge Food Banks and Salvation Army are hoping to collect items to stuff 500 backpacks by August 10th. The program aims to help families prepare their kids for a successful school year.
As anyone who has people or kids in school know, supplies for school are quite costly, so we try and help out as much as we can. It's just an important program for the kids to start the first day of school with these supplies. It helps their self-esteem and they don't feel like they're not part of the group.
Donations of new backpacks, school supplies, and healthy school snacks will be accepted at either food bank or the Salvation Army. And groups that also want to participate as a drop-off location can contact any of the 3 agencies. Car enthusiasts were revved up this weekend for Alberta's largest car show. Cars sped past Exhibition Park Grandstand for Street Machine Weekend's popular 100-foot dash event. More than 700 hot rods, muscle cars, modified vehicles, and antique autos cruised into Lethbridge for the 3-day event. The Street Wheeler Club has hosted the event for more than 30 years. Some car owners who waited until the last minute to reactivate their registration on their vehicles weren't able to participate because of the disruption of registry service caused by the fire in the Shaw Building last week. And to the markets today, where U.S. stimulus reports that were down also pushed markets down. Here are the day's numbers.